We're the Freestyle, FreestyleHamiltonRadio.net. I'm Ralphie Ryan, also known as DJ Noise, also known as Ralph. I'm hoping that he got me on. He said he was gonna get me on, but am I on? Oh, I've been on. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. And my Facebook page is still loading, so it's you coming on? Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to get my Facebook, my feed here. Okay. I got it. So my weekend was chill. We got some yard work done. We got what's up, Dan? Shout out to Dan watching. Weekend was chill. Did some yard work. Spent some time with the family a little. Trying to lower my cell phone so it doesn't get feedback. You could kill the music. You could lower it. Take it out. Yeah. We could work. Yeah, you could leave it playing in the background. You ready? All right. I'm gonna wait for Ruben. Billy's I'm not sure if Billy's gonna make it tonight. He's running behind schedule. Definitely, not his fault. If he makes it on, he makes it on. We're gonna have Ruben fill in. I'll wait for him. Start dialogue together. Yeah, my weekend was chill. Some yard work. Some minor cleaning. Coolest thing I did over the past week is I got to send my DNA for Ancestry.com to see exactly where I come from. I got a pretty good idea, pretty good estimates. What parts I'm from and whatnot. But I wanna really get into the essence of where I'm really from. And this way I can tell my kids exactly where they're where they come from, where their ancestry is from, while building a family tree. This way I can trace all my relatives that I have not met. I encourage somebody if you can do it, do it. You can't, understandably, but at this point in my life I want to know. I'm always talking about my heritage, so I figured why not do this DNA test and send it out, see exactly how many percentages of this, how many percentages of that. See, what my whole entire genetic makeup is. I already know some of my, I've been following some of my ancestry, some of my ancestors, some of my relatives around, the country, the world, I guess. And it's pretty cool. I have a lot of cousins on Facebook, a lot of family on Facebook. And me discovering that a couple of years back, basically told me that I have a rich history and I have a lot of family members. And it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's it allows me to go to it answers questions. It also connects me to other family members around the world that have done the Ancestry.com. I think it's just cool to see how my bloodline and how far my my ancestry or my relatives go. I don't know all that. I often get jealous because people are, always having those massive reunions, and they're like, oh, I have my cousin from here. I got some, and they know all their cousins. Well, unfortunately, I don't know every, I know my main, my grandmother's and my grandfather's family, my immediate family, my mom, my aunts, uncles, from both sides. But I don't know too much of my father's side. I had a lot of uncles. I don't know, they had kids. Now they're having nephews, and they have it's a lot of family members that I don't exactly know, that I'm just starting to get to know, and reconnecting. So shout out to all the family members that are, if you're getting a inbox from me, or an ad, Facebook ad, it's real, it's me. You might be my family member. I'm not trying to stalk some family members, but you might get a message from me that you might be my family member. So I figured, since I had this on Facebook, I might as well connect this to the ancestry.com to place it all fourfold. So that'd be cool. It's gonna be cool. I gotta wait for that. I did that. I sent it out today, so it's probably gonna be anywhere from a month. Could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to 2 3 months, I guess. So I was just waiting. Something to look forward to. I guess I might do a YouTube video or something about it. I'm not sure. I might do something on the show here about it. The news today. News is still crazy. There's Trump is now complaining that nobody likes him. Well, I mean, I really, I don't understand where you're coming from with that, but I'm gonna move on from that. I can't really comment too much on that per se. My condolences to the Trenton officer that passed away recently. My thoughts and prayers are with his family, his extended family, and his police family. Anytime you lose somebody unexpectedly, hurts. So I see a lot of people that were touched by him on Facebook, and so I personally didn't know him, but my condolences to his family, friends, and his police friends and family, extended family in the police force. It's very unfortunate. Other news. We're still somewhat in the green, but that has just been, and when I'm taking in the green, I'm talking about mask wise, restriction wise, I'm talking about COVID. Um, just quickly jumping on a lot of topics. The COVID issue in New Jersey is, we're kind of green right now, but we could be in limbo soon, because of the fact that somebody literally, just, I guess, the other day had a party. I don't know exactly where. It's deep central, towards the east, down near the shore. It was supposedly a COVID party. Or not COVID party, but it was like a pool party of some sort, or, graduated party. I don't know. It was like over 700 people there at this party.
Oh, wow.
And cops broke it up, and, already 100 people supposedly tested positive for COVID. So, there you go. We're trying to get out of this, and stuff like this happens.
Well,
Nobody had masks on. Nobody was social distancing. If you're gonna have an event, you gotta have some masks.
I think I'm not sure how many. I don't know what the limit is though. Of how many people you can have in an event.
Depends.
It keeps changing.
Well, it depends on your capacity. It depends on how big your
spaces
and how many people you can hold. I guess you can have only 10% or 20% of your maximum capacity.
Right.
That's what I'm.
You're probably right. I think you're right about
right. If you can hold 800, then you can only hold 10%.
80, 70.
If you can, let's say if you can hold 750 or 800, my guess is you're going to only be able to hold 10% to 15%, a certain amount,
right?
To where it's going to be only, all right, if you can hold 800, then if you could fit 100 in there,
you might be able to get away with it.
Then you can get away. It's don't quote me on that. I don't know the numbers. I don't know the
like I said, it keeps changing.
It changes.
constantly. Because remember, before you can only have like 40 people in a room. Then you can only have. Then we dropped all the way down to like 10 people.
Well, remember in the beginning of July, it was gonna go. We were gonna open. We were gonna open up back up, and then everything started spiking. But
and the spike wasn't supposed to happen until October.
Well, the spike is happening.
Supposedly.
Well, the spike is happening because you want people to go back to work, so people are getting tested, and the numbers are going up. So what happened in New Jersey, New York, the north up here is really happening in Florida now.
But you heard what happened in Florida, though, right?
They're using, they're doing the same. They're doing the same thing they did up here.
No, well, actually, did you hear? Well, I'm going to tell you about the numbers, just real quick. Well, they found that in Florida. I think it was in Miami.
Shout out to everybody tuning in real quick. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Shout out to Junior. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Stacy, Gene, Mike. Adrian, everybody tuning in.
Okay, cool. I think it was in Miami, or I think it was in Miami or state of Florida. But if anybody out there knows, you can correct me. But we found out that the hospitals down in the Miami area, I'll say, found out that they had like 100,000 or 10,000 cases or something like that. And then it dropped when they found out the truth. The truth went from like thousands to like 9 or 10 people.
Well, basically, they're probably they
actually had the COVID.
I spoke about this. I'm probably one.
I gotta look at the report, but that's what I heard about.
Don't hate on me, but I've literally been one that's been speaking about this time after time. You go in for a head injury, you happen to die. They mark it as COVID. You go in there for a car accident, you happen to die, they mark it as COVID. You go in there for something else, you die, you
go
COVID.
in for a hangnail.
So yes, we know that there's a spike in numbers because people are going back to work. Before you can go back to work. But we don't know what
the truth of the numbers are.
Exactly. But before you can go back to work in these states that were abruptly closed for X amount of time, now they're going back because the president says, well, I want you to open. So now they're opening, and because they're testing, people are getting tested. Because listen, you can't go. Some people are going back to work, going from unemployment to back in the workforce. So the workforce may require them. The company may require them to be COVID free and show proof that your papers. You got to show your papers that you're okay to go back to work. And also, when you go to the doctors and you're getting, a surgery, again, you're going to get tested before that doctor's going to perform any touch you because, before you walk into the door, they're going to, I've gone to the dentist, I'm literally going to get a tooth pulled recently in the next couple of weeks. And, before I can even sit down and on the, I guess the chair to wait, they shot, they took my temperature right away.
He's cold.
Well, I'm on air, so you got to call into the show.
Yeah, he won't be able to because I'm not there and I have the phone off because I'm recording. That's what I was doing back there. Yeah, I'm recording another show.
Well, if you're on Billy,
Facebook chat,
just comment on the. We don't have our picture up.
Oh wow, disappeared.
It's all right. Listen, it's all right. It's all right. Our picture disappeared on the monitor here. On the monitor here, I can see some of that. Sorry. Oh, we're back up.
Well, as I was saying, I was watching. I watch a lot of the news, but I don't take everything that the news say. I just try to get just to see what's going on.
I try to. I do the same. I've always done that. I try to. I try to. I don't just try to. Share something. I go and see if it's real
or not.
But
what I was going to say was the doctors. It was on YouTube actually, and YouTube took down the scientists and doctors who were saying, and ironically, yeah, you might hate that I say this, but as was Trump was saying about the hydrochloroquine, well, the scientists and the doctors, they were saying how if you have the COVID, um, and you get it early, like day one, you said you think you like to get a fever or whatever, and you get tested, you have the COVID. They said from day one, if you take, I think, twice a day the hydrochloroquine, and within a week or two, you'll be pretty much cured. Well, YouTube the took down the video, and these are professional. These are guys with PhDs and beyond doctorate degrees telling you that the hydrochloroquine works if you catch the symptoms early, not late in the game, but early. That was the key thing. And I tell you, I didn't know that. I thought if you already had it, you take it. But the idea is that you got to catch it early. So the earlier you catch it, you take the hydrochloroquine, it will actually cure you from and that's what they were saying. Now remember, these are doctors and scientists saying this, and YouTube took it down.
Well, because there, I don't want to say, I don't want to be.
I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, but just saying these are doctors and scientists who said it.
We don't have any background music, but yeah, our show is not going too well tonight. But I hate to say this, but what was the reasoning to? I go back to this. What was the reasoning why we were sticking COVID patients in nursing homes?
Right.
I'm still trying to find out. I'm still trying to understand this. I'm still trying to understand why we were sticking.
That was the wrong thing to do.
Where you just spread it.
That was wrong.
You spread the whole entire, virus.
Mm-hmm.
You created the pandemic by
put them in the nursing
intentionally
homes,
putting people at risk
that already have underlying
exposed
illnesses.
exposed to it. So what was the agenda? Why?
Yeah.
Why did we have to do that? That's my whole. That's my thing. Why when somebody went to the if somebody went to the doctors anywhere or a hospital for a different ailment and they die while you're there, they marked it as COVID. That's my whole thing. That is my whole. And the only reason why I'm always constantly, I'm always with the laptop.
Yeah.
I'm always constantly shout out to everybody, tuning in. I'm always constantly trying to better understand when people, put your mask on, put your mask on, put your mask on. Yeah, I get it. I am putting my mask on.
And that's even.
I do understand that there's a
even
sickness.
That's contradicting too, because the CDC says that.
But what I'm saying is, how can I, put a lot of trust into what they're saying when, we're seeing, medical, and insurance fraud right before our eyes.
That too.
So I'm trying to make light. I'm trying to believe it as best as I can. But when you see this and you see, people are, we're so unprepared. When the A tries to talk to the B,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing gets done. And I'm not saying it's a hidden agenda by the Democrats or a hidden agenda by the Republicans. I'm talking about it's probably a hidden agenda.
It's an agenda
within the whole entire body of government.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not trying to sit here
pick sides.
And pick sides. I'm not trying to do that. I'm scratching a mosquito bite, and it's irritating. It's one of those. He got me pretty good. Damn it, that mosquito bite. But you know what I'm saying. It's exactly what's going on. That's why I'm so defiant of. I don't believe the numbers. I don't believe the whole entire. Yes. Like I said, there is a virus.
But see, the thing is, I'm trying to figure out is that anything. I want to say it like this. You notice that anytime something's good for you, there's always a pushback on it.
Well,
I'm even talking about for health stuff.
For real quick, it absolutely. Since you touched base on that,
yeah,
I'm gonna get real deep right now.
Go ahead.
You didn't know I was gonna bring this shirt, but I got my marathon shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Nipsey Hussle's company, the marathon. And I ordered this literally right from the shop that I think since it's closed. I still got the wrapper that says from the store.
Right.
This is probably going to be a rare shirt, probably in the future.
Mm-hmm.
To touch why I'm mentioning this, Dr. Sebi, was the guy that Nipsey Hussle was advocating he wanted to do the
movie about him,
the documentary about him.
Yeah, documentary, right?
And he was talking about the exact very thing that you were talking about. Like,
Right.
When something's good for you, they try to hide it.
Right.
He Dr. Sebi, supposedly cured cancer.
And
AIDS, and different sicknesses.
He actually went to court for the AIDS thing.
And he beat it.
And he beat it.
Mm-hmm. He physically beat it. They said, "Why are you practicing medicine?" He goes, "I'm not practicing medicine.
No.
I'm a nutritionist."
Right.
And, make a long story short, somehow he ended up in police custody and died from a cold while in police custody.
No, he didn't die in police custody. When he won the case, and he actually moved to South America. I think he lived in Brazil for the rest of his life.
No, he died in police custody. Google that.
Google it. I was looking for music, but let me Google it.
But Google it real quick.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Because I think he died. Yeah, they arrested him again because he kept on supposedly practicing medicine, and he happened to die of a cold. Ironically, he died of a cold in police custody or some sort.
Some sort. Yeah, hold on a minute.
And it was never.
I'm not there we go. Okay.
Yeah, if you Google how did Dr. Sebi die? He died in police custody, and
I thought he died in Brazil.
Wherever he went, wherever he before his last days, he was where he was at. That's what I thought I read about him. I mean, I'm not mistaken. I mean, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's the information that I thought I gathered.
Okay, well, you're right about the cold. He had pneumonia. Okay.
Yeah, I think he died in police custody. Had pneumonia while police custody. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, you're right. There it is. Dies in police custody in Honduras. That's where he was at.
Damn, do I know my information, bro?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I know he died I thought he was in Brazil, but
he died in police custody,
Honduras,
ironically,
but same area
of a cold. While advocating and campaigning for having cures.
Yeah, it says right here. It says it says Alfredo Darrington Bowman, better known as Dr. Sebi, died in Honduras over the weekend after having complication while battling pneumonia in police custody.
Isn't that crazy, right?
Yeah.
When you're doing something good, they silence you.
But you don't think they would do that in Honduras?
Listen.
But then again,
you beat the United States, you know, and you're not just beating the United States,
right?
You're beating pharmaceutical companies, and we're talking about trillions of dollars, man.
Right. Did you know that Kodak now wants to become a pharmaceutical company?
Yes.
Yeah.
Their stock literally was $2 last week. And that shit literally jumped to $50 a share.
I wish I would have known that.
I know. I mean, I would have. If I knew that, I'd have bought like, you know what? Give me like $300.
Yeah. You read my mind.
Just give me $300.
Yeah. That would have been like $2,000.
But that would have, that's exactly, I heard about that. But it's crazy that you mentioned that I happen to have, his shirt on, and I know the information. Mm-hmm. But yes, he died, trying to prove that,
So in other words, while he had pneumonia, they arrested him, so he had no access to his
basically
herbs and
they wanted to prove a point.
Yeah,
they wanted to prove that if you can cure anything, cure yourself.
But you need the tools.
If you go and read, that is almost as basically the story that it was about.
Right.
These
Because how can you cure yourself if you're in police custody?
They were literally trying to prove a point.
He doesn't have his plants. He doesn't have his roots. He doesn't have his herbs.
But to prove your point,
yeah,
you said, you know, they're always trying to silence you when you're trying to do good, and you know.
Right. Oh yeah.
And
you're right.
In Dr. Sebi's, you know,
case,
they in fact, you know, silenced him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, and I'm not trying to okay whatever you guys, whoever takes Nick Cannon's commentary on his podcast.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear it or listen to it, but I heard about it.
Well, if you notice, right after Nipsey Hussle died, Nick Cannon said he was going to work on the documentary for Dr. Sebi.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
okay.
Right. You're
so
right.
you know when you're researching more stuff, you uncover the truth.
Truth, right.
And then, you know, you see Nick Cannon has changed from the person he was before the working on this documentary to where he's at now.
Yeah, right.
He's discovering some truth. Not saying that all truth is in what he said, but I'm saying I'm not okaying, and I'm not giving him it okay to say what he said. I really didn't look at I seen the whole interview before it was removed. It's not something that I have not heard before.
Right.
You know, right? It's. I'm not saying. I'm not using the Hitler part. I'm talking about the other parts. I've heard different.
Well, you know,
people talk about something like that in a different context.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I don't know if I'm going left field or anything like that.
But you know, we're talking about the banks. We're talking about we've talked. People always talk about the banks.
Oh yeah, the banks. Well, between pharmaceuticals and the banks, they work
and
hand
corporations.
in hand. Right. And think about it too. A lot of these so-called judges are also paid off by the pharmaceutical companies, the banks, and everything like that. So, like if you're trying to fight your mortgage, you know, if you don't win against that judge, most likely that judge is being paid off by the bank. So no matter what you do, you lose. You know, I mean, look. When I was watching Fox CNN, the Attorney General Barr, right? He could not really give a straight testimony because the Democrats that were giving the hearing, there were some Republicans there too. But the chairman, who was a Democrat, didn't give the guy a chance to even talk. Every time he tried to say something, he just, "Oh, my time, your time is up, your time is up." But I'm like, what time is up? It's a hearing.
Well, they're supposed to get like at least a minute.
5 minutes. 5 minutes per person.
A response is a minute,
panel.
I think, and the panel is about 3 minutes.
Yeah, there's a thing that's you get 5 minutes, and when there's a thing on the table.
Same thing with when Candace Owens spoke in the committee, right?
Yeah,
almost like the same
thing. They didn't give him a chance, and he even asked. He was like, "No, we've been sitting here for like an hour or two or whatever." And he said, "I just need 5 minutes to take a break so I go to the bathroom." The chairman was like, "No, we don't have time for that. No, we don't have time for that." The guy's like 70 years old. And I'm not advocating, you know, for as a political reason, but as a human being, if you gotta go to the bathroom or something like that and you're at a hearing, you're not getting your just process.
Yeah, I mean,
the reason why I brought that up, because between YouTube taking down the doctors and the scientists, the Democratic committee not giving Barr, and when I found out what Barr, because of the pedophile ring, Barr is going to be prosecuting those who are in the pedophile ring and that are in. So I think they're trying to scapegoat him to bypass that. So there's a cover up.
Well, you've seen it happen to the New Jersey judge.
Oh yeah,
you know, and her family. And they're saying, "Oh, it was a disgruntled lawyer."
Right.
I mean,
so they say.
You like I said, yeah, you can believe that story, and take that as face value and say, "Hey, it's true."
No.
Or you can say, "Hey, you know, maybe it's more."
There's always something lurking.
To that story.
Right.
There's probably more to that story.
There's
than
always something lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, than what we believe.
Right.
You know, nobody knew that Jeffrey Epstein had this whole entire, you know, overseas, you know, deserted, you know, this quiet private island, where he did all his dirt.
Right, and you know, also too, if you notice that, if they only mentioned it once in the newscast, but someone, again, you correct me if I'm wrong, but they said that he had a couple other islands, but they're only going to investigate the one.
Well, they don't know how much money he
He
literally had.
right
I mean, his accounts are some of them are ghost
astronomical.
accounts. I
Right.
mean, they're overseas accounts. So I mean, yeah, he might have more property, more islands, other
But they
places.
said they were not going to check those. They just said they would just check that one island.
Well,
So
those
you
other
don't know,
islands, could be,
you know,
you
anything.
know, they might be jointly controlled by him or his estate and
So,
somebody else.
right.
You know, remember they arrested her, his friend, girlfriend, whatever,
Oh yeah.
his partner. I don't know. I don't
Partner.
know what she was to him.
Well, she was
Um,
part of. She was part of. I think.
my understanding is that he started with her, and
Mhm.
he then used
Got
her
her.
to get him more girls,
Girls. Right.
and he built her up monetarily
Right.
wise.
Right.
And she eventually said, "You know what? I was a victim, but now I'm gonna be
Part of it.
a part of it."
Yeah.
I mean,
It's almost like if I
it's
can't beat them, I'll join them, type of thing. But when it goes to trial, I don't know if it's going to be public or private when it goes to trial.
well, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Mm.
we don't know. We don't know what they're gonna.
Like, I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't think it's gonna be a public
And
trial.
and to think about it too, with all the roundup that's happening between them getting these kids, and especially girls and some young boys, for the androchrome, and it was just amazing that they want to make the pedophilia part of the yes, hate me if you want, but the LGBTQ, which I think is totally wrong because
No, I don't think.
pedophilia shouldn't be
Yeah, pedophilia should not
shouldn't
be.
be a systematic category. I mean, it is a category, but not something to be part of a group. Like
Yeah, I
you
don't.
get
I
to
don't.
choose, like, oh,
I don't. I don't think.
Yeah, it
I don't
shouldn't be
think that
something
should be.
a choice.
Yeah, I don't. No, I don't. I don't think that should be a part of
Any type
or
of group.
considered. I don't think it should be considered.
Mhm.
A part of any kind of type of group.
Right.
That just. That just. Basically, that it reinforces it to be okay
Okay.
with society.
Mhm.
Sort of prosecutions are
Or less.
more lenient
Right.
than what they are now.
Well, no, they said that if
I mean, rape is rape. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Fuck what fuck what you said. I mean,
Well,
let's
yeah.
just be realistic.
Right.
You
Rape
no
is
matter
rape.
how no matter if if you're doing this to to kids,
Right.
especially kids. You know what I'm saying? If all these people are innocent,
Right.
you shouldn't have
Yeah,
you shouldn't have a
that at
special
all.
category for that shit
Shit.
anywhere in any kind of
Really
social
Mm-hmm.
any kind of social
Right. And they said
structure of life
and that's why
in,
they're
in computing
and
in
the reason why
community.
they're and you're right. The reason why they're pushing it so that they could be a lighter sentence. They said the sentence would be if
5 years,
no,
a year,
even worse.
what,
Well,
30 days?
like 30 days in a psych ward.
Yeah, no, I think that
I think it's like
if-
30
if-
days,
if
to 6
you-
months in a psych ward, and
just like Bill Cosby. Listen,
Yeah.
40 or so women came forward. I don't know how many.
then
But-
half of them denied it. It actually happened. They said they falsified the information on Bill Cosby.
Well, if some of them falsified it, let's say
Yeah.
half of the 40 deny, say that it was falsified.
Right.
All right, maybe one or two are really, really telling the truth.
Right. But
You
here's
know
the
what I'm
thing.
saying?
Why? All right. This happened in the 70s, I believe, right?
And I'm
And-
still trying to find out why they did this to him. What threat did he
Well-
did have?
Well,
on
here's
them?
well, Bill Cosby said that that some of the women that were at now get this, the Playboy Mansion. This is where most of this happened, at the Playboy Mansion. Now, a lot of these women now, but at that time, they were like 12, 14, 15 years old. Why the hell are you 12, 14 years old doing at the Playboy Mansion? So
Wow, that was real.
yeah. So if you're 12, 14 years old at the Playboy Mansion, one, where were your parents? Two, how did you get there? And three, why did Hugh Hefner even let you in the mansion at 12, 14 year old?
Yeah, that's crazy.
15 years old. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So, but yet you're coming back to say, oh, well, Bill Cosby raped me and stuff like that. Bill Cosby said, like I said, I'm not condoning any of this.
Yeah, we're not okay. We're not. We're
Not
we
okaying
don't want
this.
you all to think that we're saying.
We're just
You know,
trying to point out the
yeah,
facts.
we're not trying to okay that Bill Cosby, regardless of
Yeah.
how many women were
They were.
factual, true, or
Right.
you know, Bill Cosby was
Mm.
found guilty by our peers.
Yeah.
Some of this testimony was found a fact.
And
You know-
but a lot of it was not. But here's the thing: the ones that did that fact, you got to remember this happened in the 70s, and Bill Cosby even stated that. And well, there's another part of the story too about the NBC buying NBC. But before I digress, he even said that when they were at the Playboy Mansion, all the girls looked like they were in their 20s, and you know, some teen girls, if they blossom and with the makeup and everything like that, they can look older.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're at the Playboy Mansion. That's my thing. You're at the Playboy Mansion. You know, Hugh Hefner, and unfortunately, you know, Hugh Hefner died. So you can't even ask him about, okay, Hugh Hefner, why are you letting 14, 15, 16-year-old girls at,
Well, I mean,
at your Playboy Mansion?
sometimes these were parties. These were parties that were
Yeah.
invited to the
To
party.
parties, right?
You know what I'm saying? So it was probably like
And they had the
About
alcohol,
an
and they had the
entourage of
drugs.
20 people. Hey, you know, with somebody, I'm bringing 20 people. Yeah, bring them.
Right,
You know,
right.
that's back in the day. That's how it was.
That was
you know?
right. So you can't blame Bill Cosby for what happened on,
Well,
because you
I
put
mean,
yourself in that situation.
He kind of admitted. I don't know if you've heard his one of his comedy sketches about talking about Spanish Fly.
Yeah.
Well, he openly admits that that's what he does.
Does. Mhm.
That he drugs a woman, and
Oh yeah, he was on CNN when he said that.
you know, like so. I
yeah.
mean,
But like,
with
again,
that admission
right.
and some of those accusations, it's really hard to paint him as innocent.
Oh no, I'm not
You
saying.
know what I'm saying?
I'm not
So
saying-
it's
yeah, I'm
like,
not-
you know,
I'm
I'm
not
not saying that we're painting him innocent,
innocent or anything like
and
that.
we're not trying to
But the thing is,
try him or anything. We're just
But see, the thing is, when they're, I'm not, like I said, I'm not advocating about any. I don't believe anybody drugging anybody either. You know, I'm totally against that. But if you know you're going to the party in L.A., Beverly Hills area, with a lot of celebrities, there's going to be alcohol. There's going to be drugs. There's going to be weed.
well
you
during
know.
those times
Right,
in that kind of setting,
right.
you know, that was the norm.
That was the norm. Right. So that's what I'm saying. If the girls, they put themselves in
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson, yeah.
Take him for a perfect example. Okay, Magic Johnson's number is probably historically insanely high, and I'm not using his number as a glorifying way. I'm saying that the number that he has for what he contracted during a time where he would go out and right after his gym there were 20 to 30 girls waiting for him.
Oh yeah.
And when he said all these girls was always around me, I felt it was my duty to cater to all of them. He said, and there was a lot of alcohol, there was a lot of drugs.
Right. See.
You know, he said that those were the times.
Right.
You know, the Lakers, that's what,
That
you
time
know,
period.
those time period, they were known as big whores.
Big horse. Right.
You know, the Lakers, the whole entire team.
Right.
I mean, they would go to different. They would have
Parties
some
and
wild parties.
Right.
You know, Jerry West. I mean, this is crazy.
Crazy. Crazy.
I mean, and nobody would have found out had one of the players, one of the dumbest players on the team, he just told his wife, and his wife went ballistic, and you know, it became a whole. Everybody was getting, you know, fine. I'm not saying it was okay. I'm not.
yeah, exactly. We're not saying it's
okay.
okay. We're just pointing
You
out.
know, we're just
Pointing out points.
we're just talking about stuff.
Right.
Just using it as an example and a point. You know, but he was influenced by a lot of drugs,
Right.
a lot of alcohol, a lot of women.
Right.
The time, you know, the time period. You know, we're talking about he probably shattered Bill Cosby's number.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, devastatingly, like really shattered it. I mean,
Right.
Magic Johnson. I mean, we're talking about almost 6,000 women.
That definitely shattered Bill Cosby.
6,000 women,
Right.
guys. Magic Johnson.
Mhm.
Not one of them. Not one of them ever said that they raped. He raped.
They raped him. Right.
Okay. Cosby now mixes in with a couple. We'll say couple hundred. We'll say maybe 1,000. Maybe
It was actually. It wasn't even close to 100.
we'll say.
Because
I'm saying.
it was at the parties.
Well, I'm talking about the women that he engaged with
Oh yeah.
that never took him or took it that way.
Way. All right.
Okay. Let's be fair.
Oh yeah. Well.
So if some women, if one or two or three women say, "Hey, Bill Cosby did this," okay, it's a possibility that, of course, that really did happen.
Happened.
And it's like when we say, "Oh, aliens." Well,
Right.
no, we never seen them. But out of 1,000, sightings, one of those sightings has to be true.
Right.
So that's what I'm using with Cosby, and I'm only.
Well, to be fair on Cosby too, don't forget that this
I'm
really
saying how we're just talking about crazy things.
this whole thing blew out of proportion because he put his bid in to buy NBC, and this got out to and this what bought out because they didn't want him to own anything portion of NBC at all.
Well, supposedly that's what happened to Michael Jackson.
Right.
When he bought the whole Sony category, the whole Sony category, 50% of the Sony catalog. Means
Beatles
the Beatles, Beyonce. I mean, we're talking about, celebrities that are still active and in death making millions off royalties.
Right.
So he bought it at a time that nobody bought it.
Right.
And that's when his issues started because they didn't want him. They before they realized what had happened, it was too late, and he bought it. They're like, "What the hell just happened?" No, he bought it during a time where not many people were paying attention
to it.
Other people were paying attention to other things and didn't put emphasis on what he was doing.
Right.
Until the fact they understood that he was getting a lot of royalties.
Royalties for us. Yeah.
And so then Michael Jackson then started being outspoken. And then we hear, Michael Jackson was really outspoken. He was becoming an activist later in his life.
Believe it or not, you're right. Because if you listen to some of his music, he was really actually. I think he started in the '80s when he started being an activist. Think about it. He wrote the song "We Are the World."
Yep, We Are the World.
"Man in the Mirror."
Man in the Mirror.
Yep, "Smooth Criminal." He even said, if you listen to his music, he's telling you. And then in the '90s, black and white.
Don't see. He doesn't see himself as black or white.
Right. There was they don't care about us. Yep.
Yeah, like we're right. We're right all there, man.
Yeah.
And the different collabs with different people.
Oh yeah.
And the different writings. He wrote a lot of music for other people as well.
Yeah.
He was, he was a producer. He was,
You don't realize that some of these songs that I'm going to throw this in there too. Prince. Michael Jackson, Prince, a lot of songs that we hear, they were the writers of the songs, and you probably don't even realize it. It's amazing that a lot of these songs, a lot of these celebrities that have like Beyonce, maybe in the Backstreet Boys, Taylor Swift and stuff like that. Those are just examples. I'm not sure if they have music from Michael Jackson or Prince, but celebrities like them, or rather artists like them. Michael Jackson and Prince wrote music for them.
Yeah, I believe it. I 1,000% believe it.
And I think Taylor Swift was actually up in one of those. I think Prince wrote a song for Taylor Swift. I think I'm not sure, but it's amazing that
low battery.
Oh, hold on, let me switch.
We're still live. We're still live, guys. We're still live. I just switching the battery. We're gonna switch off. We're back. We're back. We're back. No, we're not back. Yeah, I guess we're still back. We're still live, I guess. Are we still live? Yeah, I mean, we're still live over the world, and I don't know if the Facebook is my cell phone is acting weird. I think I'm still live. We're still live. I guess the camera. Yeah, the camera's there. Yep, really? Okay, we're still there.
I had to switch over to I had to switch cameras.
Oh, no problem, no problem. But yeah,
But
you
yeah.
know, it's crazy. We were just talking about that crazy stuff.
Stuff. I know it's you know, so basically, you know, to go back what you're saying, and I guess we move forward to the next subject. You know, I think, you know, so I mean, if you're 14, 15 years old, or especially under 18, and you're at the Playboy Mansion and something happened to you, I'm not saying you're at fault, but it's like one of those things when your mama told you don't touch the stove because it's hot, but you touched it anyway.
Listen,
And- and you get burnt by the
when I
stove,
was-
you're gonna do sue the stove.
when I was younger, you know, when I reconnected with my mom, me and my mom were separated for some time. True story. My life, I can write a book and it'd probably be a top seller. We reconnected. You know, my mom would give me some, you know, some advice, and she, you know, this is right after we reconnected. She would say, you know what, you know, I don't like how that guy, you know, presents himself. You know, he doesn't sound too good. You know, and before you know it, I'd have issues with the person, and I'd be like, yeah, you're right, Mom. You know, this friend is not a good guy, and you know, moms always have that intuition that they know. You know, I'm responding to a point that Ruben had made a second ago, and yeah, moms have this the intuition that they know. You know, they know right from wrong right away. They know when a person's not good for you. They know, you know, when you're dating somebody, you know, oh, he's not good for you, or she's not good for you. She's only out for your money, or, you know, he's only, you know, using you. You know, sometimes, most of the time, the moms are correct on those intuitions. You know, that's when you get that moms always know, you know, things. And it's kind of cool, you know, but it's also bad at the same time because, you know, knowing your mom could be right, you know, let's say you meet this fine girl and you decide to have a relationship with her, and down the line you bring her to meet mom and you're really digging this girl, and all of a sudden your mom says, she ain't for you, son. She don't want you. She's not gonna last with you. And you know, you're like, oh no, you're wrong. She's the one. And either you find yourself not with her 2-3 months from down the line, or you ended up marrying her. So could your mom be right? Yeah, I think she's right most of 75% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when she gives her, you know, her 2 cents. You know? And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
giving you that response to when you were saying
Yeah,
that.
you're right. You're right. No, you were. And, well, of course, you know, the mom and even your dad, you know, you expect to learn from them because, you know, they lived before you and they have the experience, you know.
Well,
I'm not saying
not,
they know
not
everything.
always, not always. They're not always completely correct.
But
But
like I said, 75%.
they help get you to where you're at
Right.
now.
Mhm.
You know, by simple guidance, love, and nurturing,
Right.
feeding you and taking care of you,
Care of you.
clothing you.
Mhm.
You know, they have they're your parents.
Your parents, right.
They have that right to
Right,
say,
yeah.
hey, you know what, you're wrong, or hey,
Hey,
you
you're
know,
wrong.
you don't be hanging with that person. They're not good for
Right.
you, or don't be doing this or don't be doing that.
That-
You know, and
Oh, exactly. You know, and I just hope that you know that people, if you have your parents and stuff like that, you know, always love them and cherish them, stuff like that, you know.
yeah, that is definitely 1,000% true. You know, it's 1,000% true. It's 1,000% true.
True. Oh, exactly. I was gonna say, there was something I was gonna mention. I've been watching so much of the see what's going on between Biden and Trump.
Yeah, I have
Because
not
I was trying to
really.
catch up and see what was going on. Because
I have not really
I have-
followed
me neither.
Trump, Biden. I haven't.
It was
What
just,
I've noticed is
I was
that
trying to see what was going on.
Biden doesn't campaign that much.
Mm.
That's what I see from Biden. He's too
Right.
quiet. He's too quiet to be president. Trump is too loud to be president.
Right.
It's unfortunate we can't find somebody in between.
In between, right.
You know, one's I can't I can't even deal with both of them. That's why that's why I'm an independent thinker, independent.
Oh, yeah.
I
Independent.
1,000%. You know, if you look at my profile, it says independent, no Republican, no Democrat. It's just.
Oh, do you think we're going to get the second stimulus? Do you agree with? We
I
should
think
get it.
it's going to be passed.
Yeah. Do you think?
I mean, they're changing the whole unemployment status. They're taking it from $600 to $200.
That's the reason why I was trying to see what was going on with the stimulus check, but they were so much focused on the Trump campaign and the Biden campaign.
Well, they don't want the normal guy to pay attention. They want people to pay attention to the vision and then
what I
forget
noticed,
the focus as, hey, either get your ass back to work or hey, refile claim, because I don't think it's going to be continuous. They want you to refile a complaint or
refile
a claim
the claim
for the extension.
right?
So yeah, they'll give you $200.
No, I think
they'll give you $600
No, I think
a
they're
week
not.
instead of the.
I
Let's
think
say
they
if
knock
you're
it down to
getting
$400.
$400,
Yeah, 400.
No, they're giving you $200.
Oh no, I thought they were taking off 200 and giving you 400.
Oh, okay,
That's what I thought.
No, I heard it's 200.
Yeah,
so
no.
it's. I think that they're in between.
So it's either 200 or they're taking off 200. But I know it's not gonna be 6.
It's in between. If they give you $400 a week, man, I think they should, without the unemployment, I think they should just give you $400 a week.
You know what they should have did was with the first stimulus.
Just give you $500. They should just give you people $500 a week. That's it.
Actually, I calculated it I calculated it at a ratio of 345 million people.
Canada's giving people $2,500 a month.
Yeah, I know, but I was
or a week or something like that.
Because to pretty much really could have did the same thing here. All those businesses that got like $10 million or $20 million. If everybody,
some of those businesses didn't even need it.
They didn't even need it, right? But if they would have,
let's just be realistic.
But let me put it this way: if they would have took between $5,000 and $6,000, I did it around $5,600. They could have gave every man, woman, and child $5,600 out of that $2 trillion. That means even if you worked for, like Citibank or something like that, you could have got $5,600. Even the CEO, who already makes $60 million or $100 million a year, could have got $5,600 out of that $2 trillion. Every man, woman, child would have got.
Yeah, but they don't see it that way,
But instead of saying, okay, here's $10 million for you, here's $60 million for you, or here's $200 million for you, they should have just divvied out 345 million or 360 million Americans. And if you had a family, you could have did like, okay, for each adult, $5,600, and for each kid, maybe $3,000, something like that for each kid, and in the family. There would have been enough. Technically, I'll be honest with you, you could have even given the kids $5,600, but out of that $2 trillion, if they did the kids $3,000, they actually could have saved a couple $100 million or even close to.
Yeah, but the bad thing is that the reality didn't allow that to happen.
Right.
They gave us a certain amount.
Even they got some Congress who already make about $145,000 to $160,000 a year, even got a stimulus out of it too as well.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not bad.
That
means everybody deserves it.
Yeah.
Everybody across the board.
And
I'm
check
pretty
this out.
sure that everybody that filed taxes the last 2 years got a stimulus check.
Right.
And if you didn't, and you are part of the system,
right,
the whole entire system,
whole thing,
then you definitely got something.
And Planned Parenthood, and I have to say, Nancy Pelosi did this really sneakily because Trump took away the funding from Planned Parenthood, and Nancy Pelosi gave them, I think, $16 million out of that stimulus. And everybody knows that Planned Parenthood, that's a whole history about, the woman that started it was a racist.
Yeah, it was Margaret Sanger.
Yeah,
she was
racist.
She believed in eugenics, and she believed in human selection of perfection, and she was a racist. She didn't think that blacks should
Well,
procreate.
and it's
And she
amazing
didn't
that
like any minorities. She felt
Right.
the same.
and you notice that Planned Parenthood is only in cities. They're not in suburbs or in countries. They're only in cities. And where a high population of minorities are, there's a Planned Parenthood. If you go outside the minority section of people, there's no Planned Parenthood. So you can see it's systematically set up that way.
What are your thoughts on what they should name the park, Columbus Park?
Oh, I actually, I did mention. I believe they should name the park after the Native Americans that
So
once
you,
lived there,
so you think
and
it
not,
should
no, I mean
be
not the Delaware Nation, but
it should be
the
Indigenous Peoples Park?
Indigenous Peoples Park or Lenape Park. I think
Well-
I think there was a couple of tribes that lived there.
Well,
so-
I can't really say.
or Indigenous Peoples Park or
But see,
something.
Indigenous peoples don't live at Columbus Park today.
I know, but see, the thing is, the reason why I say they should name it after them, because remember, they didn't voluntarily leave.
Agreeable, but the same. We've
It's just like your house. If I came to your house and I said, "Okay, man, you gotta get the hell out,"
listen. You
and
you-
then
you-
I
you
name
know-
it after some
you can't.
tyrant.
You can't preach about Columbus to me. You know that
I know,
I'm
but I'm just saying.
in probably the state of Jersey. I'm probably
Mm.
one of 5 people that really know
Mm.
the history about him.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the same thing that's we don't want to happen. Is
Right.
When people didn't want to remove Columbus, but the people that didn't want to remove Columbus was not living there.
Mhm.
So the people that were living there, were part of the reason why they said that statue should not be there because it doesn't represent the neighborhood, the community that
Well,
it surrounds.
Right. Well, remember
It's
too.
mostly Latino from mostly South America. Yes, there's Puerto Ricans, but not a lot of Puerto Ricans.
Right.
So it's I if I had it my way, I would have said, hey, name it Borinquen Park. Borinquen
Okay,
Park
right.
is named after it's Borinquen means it's named after the Boricuas. The Tainos.
Indians.
Boricuas are originally, it's what Borinquen is the original name of Puerto Rico. It's what the Tainos called their island, Borinquen.
Well, and here's the thing too. Like, the neighborhoods always change. It was,
Yes.
there were, it was mostly Italians, but who lived there before the Italians, stuff like
Where the
that.
Germans and the Irish.
Irish,
German
right.
and Irish were there.
So you're going
before.
to keep renaming the park. That's what I'm saying. If you want to really name it after somebody, you should give. I think you should give dedication to those who were pushed out of.
Well,
the
I agree.
area.
I agree. My thought.
That's the least they can do.
My thought it would cover everybody immensely, diverse. In a diverse way. If it's not named Indigenous Peoples Park,
Mhm.
then it should be named Heritage Park.
You can do that.
And
I can agree with that.
Heritage
Heritage Park.
Park, when everybody says it's part of my heritage, well, that covers your heritage. If you lived near Columbus Park, for the last 25, 30,
Yeah.
40, 50
And
years,
if you're Native American,
if you're Native American,
you can still.
it still covers, represents you. But not
represents
just change the name and leave it without a statue.
Right.
I'm talking about, having private companies or, having private groups that raise the money, like who
Yeah.
raised the money for the statue of Columbus in the first place to have it erected there on
Right.
public property.
Right.
We can have the same. They could buy a statue and have it put up and represent, different statues of different heroes from different eras, represent different backgrounds.
Right.
Like, you can have, an Indian there, a Taino Indian, or, a Native American. You can have, a St. Patrick. You can have, Harriet Tubman.
People with some
Frederick
decency.
Douglass. People who are real. Who were real. Catherine Ford, the lady that the other side of the statue is, erected for.
Right.
And I'm just touching base on this because I
No,
again
it's-
found myself kind of explaining why the statue deserved to be removed, along with the change of the park.
And I'm going to say this.
Hold on, my argument is, if you're going to remove the statue and not change the name, then it defeats the purpose.
And I'm going to say this. And as you are also being part Italian as well.
My heritage, yes.
Yeah.
Ancestry.
Ancestry, yes, I am too. There's a lot of Italians that done great things than Columbus.
Oh, absolutely.
And I believe that if you want to put that part of like that's the statue of recognition, maybe like somebody like, I don't know, Michelangelo, yeah,
Leonardo da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
those two right there. I mean,
right.
You know,
and you don't hear that Michelangelo went to another native and gave him diseases to get him off the land, or had slaves on the ships.
Well, we don't know the history of Michelangelo, but
as we know,
he was a Renaissance man.
Yeah, right.
He was a historical icon. You know, you could put him Michelangelo.
Yeah.
You know,
so it doesn't have to be Columbus.
Doesn't have to be. Well, Columbus. The argument's over. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying we should dismiss Columbus, because without that we won't know history.
Well, it is historical. That's why I say, hey, put Columbus in a museum. And
you got a museum right downtown.
How do I say it? Readdress the historical facts,
right,
and revise it.
Right.
Don't erase it, but revise it. Mm-hmm. That is my, my only argument.
And as you know, as history buff as you are,
yes,
that Columbus didn't even discover America.
Amerigo Vespucci. Yeah. But they do say Amerigo Vespucci was just as bad.
Right. And they named the whole continent after him.
Exactly. So we don't want to go into Amerigo Vespucci, because then people want to change the name of the United States. So you know what? Mm-hmm. We know Columbus, by historical accounts and facts, that he did directly commit genocide. He oppressed and enslaved, raped, and enslaved kids of as young as 9, boy and girl. And he admittedly wrote about this, boasted and bragged about this. And when Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand asked him, when he was brought back to, Spain, yes, in chains, they asked him, he said to them, I'm going to play. He said to them, he said, well, all the, when they said, hey, Cristobal, because that's what they called him. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Christopher. Yeah. It was Cristobal.
Right.
Cristobal.
It's just a bit Americanized. That's all.
What do you have to say in Spanish? They said, what do you have to say about these allegations? Well, your Royal Highnesses, they're not all true. When you're being accused of something you didn't do,
right?
But you are guilty of something. I'm not entirely guilty, but I'm not entirely innocent.
Right.
And that's the kind of response he gave. Mm-hmm. And it's, well, elaborate on exactly what you're trying to say.
Right.
Did you enslave, rape, and brutalize, the native Tainos?
Right.
Yes, but I had my reasons. Mm-hmm. They were cannibals. Also, you think that they were since they were cannibals, that it was okay to brutalize the civilization. Yes, because they had no regard for life, and they were godless souls. Mm-hmm. So, in turn, he himself, a godless soul, forced Christianity onto the natives,
right,
and forced them to, into servitude and labor,
right,
into a feudal system. To, hey, if you didn't get me X amount of gold or spice or sugar, in these mines and these plantations at a certain amount of time, by a certain time, a certain amount by a certain time, then we were going to cut your arm or hands off.
Right.
And we're gonna make a necklace out of your pieces, and you're gonna wear them, and you're gonna parade naked around the villages, so we can make an example of you, so others don't follow you.
Right.
So that's.
I want to say
that's fact.
It is fact, and I want to say this, and I wonder. That's how Gene. Actually, 2 things I want to say. I'll make them real quick.
I mean, because I don't want.
yeah.
I don't want my producer to get mad at me.
Yeah, that's right.
You're the producer.
Gene Rottenberg. I always mess up his last name, but the guy who created Star Trek, Gene. You notice in Star Trek, one of the rules in Star Trek when they go to other planets and civilizations, they are not to interfere with other civilizations or anything else like that. They have to figure upon themselves. And I wonder if Gene got that idea like from what you said, because of Christopher Columbus and everything. What about what would be like an explorer who just observed but didn't interfere with society? Let society be, which should have been in the first place. All this happened because people interfered, with society. And the other thing,
I mean,
okay,
real quick,
Yeah.
just put yourself in the native's shoes
yeah,
for 1 second. Even though we have ancestry,
Yes.
Taino,
And Taino.
and Caribbean and Arawak ancestry in
just-
our blood.
right,
Let's just look at it this way. Let's say if Columbus didn't discover America,
Mhm.
and America went on living as a Native American country.
right,
What about the wonderful? What if the wonderful things that could have happened? And nobody ever looks at the pros and cons of America being America.
Mhm.
And what if it wasn't America? And what if it just left to the natives?
Mhm.
Would they have fared out better than European settlements?
I would say yes. You know why? There's a you probably know this. There's a land of indigenous people that lives off the coast of India, the one island, and not one settler really has set foot on the island except for
I
one
heard.
person.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
And they lived through every storm, hurricane for 1,000 years to this day. I think they allowed one white person on the land one time just to help out, but you got to think thousands of years they lived on that island, and they all survived everything, on that island. Death, hurricanes, probably even diseases, whatever, and you see they're living fine, just fine. Because if I'm gonna put it this way, if you look at the European method, okay, great, you could build buildings, have civilization, but where are the cons? Pollution, abandoned buildings, hunger. You need a money system. There's competition on wealth. There's competition on class.
There's a competition on everything.
On everything, right? I'm not saying the natives didn't have competitions, but it was more settled. In the European philosophy.
It was with the natives.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more structured because
Right.
if you take if you take pages out of American government and how it's supposed to run effectively, the American I guess founders and politicians took pages from Native Americans.
Yeah.
Because up north in the Greater Lakes area,
Mhm.
There were a whole entire, well, not, the northern over, near New York, there was a whole entire,
Area.
a whole entire nation of different tribes
Tribes. Right.
that lived under, one leader.
Leader.
So that's how they got all those states from.
Mhm.
That's how they got, the democracy.
See.
They had they all ruled on things together.
Right.
So they got some of the ideas
From them.
from them.
Oh yeah.
So they took a lot
Especially farming.
exactly. Also barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue comes from Taino. I
Right.
said this. I don't know.
I remember you said that. Yeah.
The barbecue was invented by the Taino people.
Well, how else they were gonna eat? They had fire in a bit. And
And I don't know if I mentioned this on air, but pirates when they came in contact with Taino, they adopted the barbecue. So the barbecue was called a bucan.
Right. I remember
Okay.
saying that. Yeah.
A bucan. And so when the Buccaneers, they started barbecue and they called the bucan.
The
They called them buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
So that's where that name Buccaneers comes from because they were, Europeans on ships learning to barbecue.
Cute. Right.
Not because they were, they were, they were trying to rob them,
Right.
just because they were pirates in a
And I'm gonna
different
say
sort.
too.
But they were called buccaneers because they were somewhat friends of the Taínos.
Right. And I think it could have been maybe even been, and you have to admit though the native tribes did try to they did welcome the Europeans on the land.
Yeah.
They did, but they didn't know they were going to be.
But then they realized, they would
shiced.
take,
Yeah.
well, when Columbus first left,
Yeah.
he left a settlement,
Right.
a fort with his brother, his other brother. He had two brothers.
Two brothers. Right.
He left his two brothers in control, with a, or I think with a settlement, whatever. And everybody in the settlement was killed. I think maybe one of his brothers were killed.
Right.
In that thing. And the natives, people don't understand why the natives did that. Well, Columbus left like 400, 300, I don't know how many how many natives he kidnapped. But most of them died on the way back to Spain.
Right.
And there was just a number that he needed. And he said, well, this is what I brought back. It's the number that I was trying to bring.
Right.
Even though, some died on the way.
Right.
I was trying to get to this number to bring.
Right.
So, when you kidnap people and just say, hey, I'm going to be back in a couple months. I'm taking your peoples, though. They're going to work for us. You just literally yank family members away from you, and this is 1492.
Right.
Remember.
And I want to say this, and you may disagree with me, and you might say I'm a little hypocritical on this. Like you said about, would it be better? Now, up here on the northern end, and maybe in Mexico part, it probably would have been fine with them. But as you know, if you go more South America, they did a lot of human sacrifice.
Well, those were the Aztecs, the Mayans.
Right.
They believed in the different things.
So when the Spaniards interfered with that ritual ended. So I can say that kind of.
Well,
I can see that
what
being kind of good.
What you just said is one of the reasons why a lot of people okay what Columbus did. See, you see that narrative?
Yeah.
They said they were sacrificing people, they were killing people to gods. So it was,
But it wasn't
Christopher Columbus brought God and changed that whole entire situation.
Right.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Columbus. It wasn't Columbus. It was the conquistadors.
Right.
Like Ponce de Leon, Hernan Cortez, Del Soto,
but see what
all those conquistadors that went west in search of gold and encountered,
in this part of the
rituals.
Right, but between I'm not sure Mexico or not, but I think anything below Mexico, that's where they did a lot of human sacrifices. I'm not sure if they did it in the Mexican area.
No, it's you're right. It was the Incas. It was the Inca.
But up here in this,
the Montezuma,
right?
The Aztec, the Mayan,
right? But here in North America, they didn't do human sacrifices.
The Hopi,
the
Hopi didn't really create sacrifices. It was more the Mayan, the Aztec,
right?
Those empires that believed that sacrificing to the gods. Now remember, these civilizations were witnesses to aliens.
Right.
So they were their understanding was we need to sacrifice to the gods because we don't want them to come and get us.
Yeah, get us. Right.
So they didn't understand.
Right.
What they had to do into response to aliens,
and
trying to kidnap them and control them, and here's half naked natives running around, and they see a flying saucer, something they've never seen before, and something weird comes out, and they say, "I'm your god.
Right.
I need you to sacrifice 20 people a month in my name, or I'm going to come and kill you all." Shit.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Right.
So there's your answer, the response to why that happened.
But you notice, up here in North America, though, they didn't do that here. It was they were more land spirits.
Those rituals just became a ritual for
Fear.
out of fear to pay homage to the gods, because they said the gods, they were aliens were coming down and putting this in fear. So,
Yeah.
shit, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm not disclosing that. That probably did happen. You make a great hypothesis on that, and you know,
It's crazy
a
how
thesis.
I put a different view on it, right?
But that could have happened. I mean, I know we weren't there, but that could, you know,
We weren't there, but
That could have happened.
the writings are on the walls.
Yeah.
If you look at some of those pyramids,
Yeah.
you know, the ancient civilizations that are in those jungles, are in the deserts of South America, they do have depictions of, you know, flying saucers, you know, and spacemen in spacesuits.
Right.
So, I mean,
They
challenge what I, you know, don't take my information as, you know, as information that you can run with it, but do the research. Do the research yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I'm talking about it because I have done the research. You know?
Exactly. And one last question. My second question is, and we probably won't be on this long. Why did they choose the name America after Amerigo? Like, who actually chose to name that?
I don't really know that.
That's a good question, right?
I really don't know. But to leave you on this, the reason why the American flag is such a big symbol is because in the Star Spangled Banner, it's detailed, you know, by the late racist lawyer that happened to be sent out as an adversary. He was an adversary. He's sent onto a British ship, and in the fort, they said, "Listen, Francis, okay, right, Francis Scott Key. Francis, your country that you are so proud of, it's gonna fall by morning. All you have, and people will die." And they said, "And you can avoid the deaths if you do one thing." And he said, "What? Have your men lower that flag. Lower the flag that's standing, that it will mean you have surrendered." So Francis Scott Key said, "Well, I'm sorry, General, you know, British, whatever, but it's not going to happen."
Right.
You see, the Americans are, they're groomed, they're now bred with a fortitude, unlike the British, and we're not going to give up that easy. We might die trying. So they
out.
Yep. So they said, "All right, well, Francis, we're going to shell that building, and we're going to shell that fort until everybody's dead." And they did that. They did just that. And in all night, it was just constant shelling of this fort with this flag just sitting there, just standing there, proud. Okay. The flag was slumped, but from the ship, what people were watching, you know, what the ship they were watching, that flag was just still there, shelled, getting hit, holes, you know, getting just battered. What was happening in the fort was, as the men were falling around that flag, they were holding that flag. Okay? So a man would die, another guy would pick up that flag. And through the dawn, the general said, "Well, Francis, let's see if that flag is still there." And there you go. The famous words, "And the flag was still there." You know, so that's where that symbolizes why the flag is so important to the United States. Not how we stand or kneel for it. It's what symbolizes us as what we stand for. So I actually 100% like what baseball is doing. They're kneeling and they're standing. Because why? Because the Americans on that night, they knelt while holding that flag, still loyal to the flag. They also stood for that flag. So I'm gonna leave you with this. You know, no matter what happens in life, just remember, you know, we have a purpose. You know, it may not be big now, it may not be big tomorrow, but we have a purpose. It is up to us to follow and fulfill that purpose that our destiny was written in our name to follow, to fulfill. So I say continue to love one another, continue to respect and understand each other. You know, continue to progress with each other, support each other, talk to each other, engage with each other. Let us not let a pandemic and racial injustice divide us and allow us to lose sight of who we are as individuals and as a community. Because again, divided we will fall, united we will stand. And I say it's the truth. You know, I'm Rapid Ryan, also known as DJ Noise. You know, we're Freestyle Freaks. Shout out to Billy that could not be here tonight. But let what I said to you, you know, take that and run with it. Shout out to my family, shout out to, you know, my mother, shout out to my mother-in-law, shout out to my wife, my daughter, my son, shout out to all my friends, all over the world. Much love to you guys. Thank you for, you know, tuning in, thank you for supporting. And again, shout out to all those activists, shout out to all those, you know, game changers, shout out to those movers, you know, those ones that make action, you know, create action and protest to change. If we're silent, you know, if we're silent to violence and injustice, then we have no voice. So don't be afraid to speak up. Always stand up for what you believe. Peace.